I'm here today to talk to you about scheduling for next year. I'm Mr. Trottier. Here's a breakdown of our counselors. Just want to make sure this is communicated to you because there has been some changes. Mrs. Pecor has students A through D and all of the Lapeer Early College program, A through Z. I have students E through K and all of virtual students. Mrs. Lori Fox-Scover has students L through N. So like a couple of weeks ago when we didn't have her, Mr. Lorenz and I were sharing some of these students as well. So there might be some disruptions with that. And then Mr. Lorenz has students O through Z and all of the community high school students. Okay? Thanks, Mrs. Crow, for being the clicker.
No problem.
Okay, all right. So as I said before, you're reviewing your transcript. So can I use this as an example? So on this packet, the front page is your course request sheet, okay? If you turn that over, you can look at your transcript. So make sure that you're taking a look at your transcript, all right? We want to make some notes. Make sure that you look over on the left-hand side. It has your grade point average or GPA. It has all of the credits that you have earned so far. All right, your class rank, where you stand in your class. And then you should have 6 classes, possibly more if you did after school campus or maybe even summer school. In your first semester for 22-23 school year. So just verify that you have all the classes on there that you have taken. If there is a discrepancy with that, you want to circle that and talk to your counselor about it. Also double check that if you passed a course, you have a D- or higher, that's considered passing, right? That it has 1.00 next to it. That's the credit that you have earned because you receive 1 credit for every class that you passed. Okay, I think yesterday we saw some students that had 0.00 when they have passed that class. So make sure that you are diligent looking over your transcript. Anybody have any questions on this piece so far? Okay, so make sure you're good. Okay, stepping up, yep. If you failed a core class, make sure to add them to your course request for next year. The general rule is that if you have failed 3 or more classes, more than 3 classes, that you would have to do after school campus or summer school. So let's talk about after school campus. After school campus starts February 13th. That's Monday. It's on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 5. You would be given a credit recovery class if you needed to make up a class like that you failed, all right? And you'd be given it online using our Pearson Connexus online learning platform. You are still required to come into after school campus though from a Monday and Wednesday from 3 to 5 to complete that class. If you finish, let's say you have to make up English 9A, for example. You take English 9A in after school campus, you finish it in April, and you've taken the semester exam and we get confirmation from the after school campus teacher that you've completed the course, then you don't have to come anymore. You're good. If you have more classes, maybe there is more time for you to get something else done, maybe not. Okay? And it is free. There isn't transportation provided. I think somebody had a question about that. There is not transportation with that. All right? That is free. Summer school this year, it will cost money. $150 per credit. And the most that you can make up in summer school is 2 credits. All right? After school campus, the most you can make up is usually 2 credits. One but possibly 2 credits. All right, in summer school, 2 credits. But it will be $150 per credit in summer school. Questions on that? How do you get signed up for after school campus if you need it? We do have pamphlets and forms in the counseling office. If you have less than 3 classes that you have failed, there's still room in your schedule where you could make them up. If you are deciding to go to EdTech, how many of you have turned in EdTech applications in here already? Perfect, okay. If you are deciding to go to EdTech, it gets a little trickier because if you go to EdTech, you're there for 3 periods and you're here for 3 periods. So typically, you guys next year as juniors, all right, you would take English 11, Algebra 2, and Chemistry, and then you'd have EdTech. And then your senior year, you would have English 12, US History, an elective, or if you need to make up any of those classes, and then EdTech. Does that make sense? Kinda, okay. All right, so we'll get into the next one. How many credits do you have to have for graduation? Anybody know? 45 credits for graduation. All right, and you earn a credit per class if you have a D- or better. We kind of talked about this already. Graduation requirements, it says 4 years, but you need 4 credits, because yeah, just because you take it doesn't, you need to also pass it, right? So 4 credits of English, 3 credits of science, that includes biology, physics, and chemistry, 3 years of social studies. You already or should have had world history. You're in civics and economics right now, or maybe American government and economics, or American government and marketing, whatever combination you have. US history. 4 years of math. You have to have Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, and a senior math or math related your senior year. Okay, so for a list of math related courses, see the course catalog. The course catalog is on the Lapeer website, all right? And there's also a link at the bottom too. You have to have 1 semester of PE and 1 semester of health, 1 year or 2 credits of visual performing arts or VPAs. Those include like band, choir, art, woods, medals, creative writing, AP seminar, speech, foods is another one, creative writing. There's numerous ones virtually that also count as VPAs. And 2 years of the same world language, preferably consecutive. Consecutive means one right after the other. So Spanish 1 and then Spanish 2, for example, or French 1 and French 2, or American Sign Language 1 and American Sign Language 2. Questions on requirements. Okay. So we have this program in-house. It's our machining and robotics program. There's actually 2 programs, machine tool technology and the robotics program, that you're working with your first year with Mr. Jacobson and your second year with Mr. Grimes. And in these programs, if you stay the full complete 2 years of the program, you will earn certifications to help you in these fields afterwards. A lot of times Mr. Grimes will, because he has connections within the community, he'll work with students to kind of develop co-ops and job placement after graduation, okay? So you earn certifications, I think I mentioned that with this. Completion of the 2 years of either of these programs, it waives or satisfies the Algebra 2 requirement and the VPA requirements. Is it still good to have Algebra 2? Yes, but this is just letting you know it waives that requirement if you decide to go that route. And it's a senior or 4th year math related credit. The machining tool program requires 1 class each semester in 11th grade and 2 classes each semester your senior year. And the same with robotics. However, it's 2 classes per semester your 11th grade and 2 classes per semester your 12th grade year. So it's a little different than EdTech. You earn certifications just like you would at EdTech, but the machining and machine tool technology program or robotics is here on campus, all right? And it's only for 2 hours instead of EdTech where it's 3, okay? The next slide is kind of a visual outline.
So sorry.
You're fine. Outline the courses that you would take. So if you decide to go into this program, we would talk about this more in depth. And anyways, it's kind of hard to see from where you're sitting anyway, too. So we do have EdTech programs. So like I did a show of hands, a lot of you have turned in your EdTech forms. If you did not go to the EdTech open house or do the EdTech tour, you can still check out the EdTech programs. We do have some pamphlets in the counseling office. It outlines all of the EdTech programs, lists certifications that are possible within each program, and then it also has on it, and I'll show you this in a little bit, IamEdTech.org. It's a link where you can click on it and check on different videos of the different programs. Students within these programs have made these videos or created them, and they're short, they're from a student's perspective, so I think you would probably really grasp onto these videos. And like I said, they're short. They're not long videos where you have to like watch and like fast forward to get to the part where you really want, you know. It's short. So this is, the programs at EdTech are 2 years long. However, if you didn't turn in your EdTech form and you're thinking, I don't know about that, but next year as a junior, you decide next year I want to get into that, you can still apply. However, preference is usually given to juniors because the recommendation is that you complete both years of the program. However, you can go for 1 year. Just know going into it though, that preference is given to juniors, and that you might not earn all of the certifications that you would if you would have completed the program in 2 years. Okay? Applications must be turned into the counseling office, and they're based on a first come, first serve basis. If you were in the EdTech program for 2 years, both years, that satisfies the VPA credit and a math related credit. Okay? You have to be in it for 2 years for it to satisfy those credit requirements. On the next slide we have, I think, all of our options. The EdTech forms were available February 3rd. They absolutely have to be turned in by March 10th, but the sooner you get those turned in, the better. Yesterday was Monday, so yesterday morning, I think we had 75 turned in, and I'm sure that's up to like 90 now, if not more. Okay, so make sure you get those turned in as soon as possible. All right, we kind of talked about this. One of this, the IamEdTech.org, that is the link that can bring you to those different videos that I mentioned earlier. All right, they're quite useful. We do have a number of advanced placement courses. How many of you are in an AP class right now? Okay, all right. And if you're thinking about going into an AP or advanced placement course for next year, just a little side information. I'm sure you already know about this, but they're rigorous, really challenging classes that help prepare you for college. All right, they give you a taste, a flavor of what college might be like. But you would take that here in the building. If you sign up for the AP exam in the fall, you can complete the AP exam in May, and if you have a qualifying score on that exam, you can earn college credit for that. A teacher recommendation is required to sign up for that. So when we get to our course scheduling for next year, I'll show where you have to have a teacher recommendation. So that requires you having a conversation, preferably with your first semester teacher. All right, so let's say you wanted to do AP Seminar or AP Lang next year, okay, for your English course. You'd want to talk to your first semester English teacher about that. You want to have a conversation, say, hey, I'm thinking about going into this. I really want to do this because this such and such a reason. Will you sign off on my course registration sheet? And they just have to put their initials, okay? All right. Here are some options for advanced placement classes. Our newest one that we'll be adding next year, if you're in Algebra 2 or Algebra 2 Honors right now, we do have AP Pre-Calculus. That's our newest one. AP classes are graded on a 5-point scale. So your general education classes, like this is English 10 Springboard, this is graded on a 4.0 scale, all right? So if you take an AP class, it is on a 5-point scale. So you get a kind of a boost to your GPA if you're looking for that sort of thing, if you know of a college that you want to go to and they have certain requirements with their GPA. Just something to think about. We have dual enrollment options. Is anybody taking a dual enrollment class right now? Or anybody thinking about it or in early college? Okay, all right. So we do have some dual enrollment options. Dual enrollment means that you're taking a class, you're enrolled here, and you're also enrolled at a college. Okay, so you could be enrolled at Fair State, U of M, Mott Community College, all right, and you'd still be enrolled here, you'd be called dual enrolled, okay? So things to consider for dual enrollment. Let's say you want to explore a particular subject, like your senior year you're thinking about going into engineering in college, or the MCAP stands, I can't remember what it stands for, but if you're going into a medical career, you'd want to take MCAP, but if you are thinking about going into that, all right, you could explore this as an option, okay? So dual enrollment are ways for you to explore options for you because the school district will pay for that class, all right? And you can see if that's something that you want to do as a major in college or maybe even as a future career, okay? Rather than you spend money on it and find out, no, I don't want to do this, and then have to change your classes in college. All right, something to think about. You can take general education courses as well. Like you can take those prerequisites that a lot of colleges ask for, okay? Like public speaking or intro to sociology, that's a humanities, something like that. So to get into a dual enrollment or having a college class, you need to complete necessary paperwork and meet deadlines. If you go to Mott Community College, you need to have placement testing and complete an orientation. If this year, once you take your PSATs, you have a qualifying score, all right, on your PSATs, and it's high enough, then you would not have to do your placement testing with Mott, okay? And counselors do have those scores. I cannot remember them off the top of my head. Just like AP classes, dual enrollment classes are on a 5-point scale, but you're also starting your college transcript at that time too. We also have the early college program, which on this next slide, can we go back one? There we go. So we do have our early college program. So if you are thinking about getting an associate's degree, it's not for, this program isn't for everyone, but it's an option for you out there. If you're thinking about getting an associate's degree and you want to go through Mott Community College, this might be an option for you because you can earn an associate's degree. That's 2 years of college basically, and it's all paid for by the school district. That's tuition, books, and fees. All right? So we get a rate from Mott because we're a public institution. It's $725 per course. All right? So that would be money that you would be saving. So if you decided to do the early college program, you would be going to Lapeer as like a 13th year student. We would hold back one class that you needed to graduate, like maybe US history or civics or economics. And then you could either, your 13th year, come back and complete that class in person or online, and the rest of your courses would be college credit, all right? So it's just an option. If you're thinking, I don't know if I want to stick around for my 13th year or be considered a 13th year student, or I want to go to a 4-year college right away, maybe taking some dual enrollment classes, that might be a better option for you. You can take up to 10 dual enrollment classes. You must max out at the highest content area class before taking a dual enrollment in that subject area. Like for you to take You could not take English 101 or English 102 at Mott Community College without having completed like AP Lang or AP Seminar, AP Research first, okay? The district would pay for the tuition and fees, however, you would have to purchase your own books. Where in the dual or the early college program, the books are paid for by the school district, okay? Questions on this? Questions? Okay. We do have options of going virtual. We have a full virtual schedule where you can have 6 classes online. We have a blended schedule where you can have 3 classes here at the high school and 3 classes online. There are forms and there are deadlines. The deadline for this has already passed, okay? And there's conversations that we need to have between you and your parent or guardian to make sure that virtual is the right fit for you, okay? We look at things like attendance, your past performance with grades, things like that, before we just say, yep, you can go virtual. We have those conversations. We also have 1 or 2 classes that you can take online. These are called onesie twosies, okay? Let's say you're taking AP classes or college classes and you can't fit in something that you need to take as a graduation requirement. We would try to see if we could put you in the face-to-face version, but if not, you might have the class online, okay? You might elect to take health online, for example, all right? But if we do have classes here in the building and they are not completely full of students, we would put you in the face-to-face version rather than giving you the online class. Let's say there's an online class that you see that you're like, oh, I'm really interested in doing that in college or as a career one day, like veterinary science, and you want to just check it out. Talk to your counselor about that we could make that happen too, as long as it would fit in your schedule and you have all the requirements, okay? So requesting an online course does not mean it is guaranteed. There's forms for all of those, okay? And we're going to skip ahead a little bit to the 11th grade sheet. So we're going to get into the planning time, so you'll need a pencil for this, okay? Make sure you have a pencil. You want to write this in pencil. All right? Can I use this as an example? In this packet, we have your course scheduling sheet. Then we have your transcript. The directions that we have right here are right on this 3rd page. And then the last page is your course index. Going back to this little sticker up in the right-hand corner, the due date, these forms are due to Miss Kroll February 10th. February 10th, 2/10. That's this Friday. That's this Friday. All right? So, can we go to the next slide too then? Oh, thank you. All right, so this is the 11th grade course sheet for scheduling, okay? It says we're working in column part A right now, just part A, okay? It says the typical 11th grade classes are in bold. You will select by circling one choice for each of the categories below. Teacher recommendations are required for those noted.
Grandin students, please report to the bus loop. Your bus is here. Grandin students, report to the bus loop. Your bus is here.
So, teacher recommendations are required for those noted with the asterisk, or you might know that as a star, I don't know. And for any AP elective, you'll select strategies for success unless you're approved, okay? We'll get to the strategies for success in a moment. So for English, typically if you're in English 10 Springboard right now, most likely you will go to English 11 Springboard AB, and you would want to circle that. If you have aspirations of going to an AP class next year, remember that's where you would need to talk to your first semester English teacher. Tell them why you want to do that. Give them a good reason why. And they would initial it right here. Okay? Questions on English? Do you have any English advice or? Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. Math related, circle or write in the math choice. So typically sophomores are in geometry. So your next class would be Algebra 2 A and B, and you'd want to circle that. If you're in Algebra 2 right now, you could take Algebra 3, Pre-Calc, AP Pre-Calc, or Proven Stats. Questions on this? Questions. It's okay to ask questions. Ask now if you're wondering about something.
Any questions?
I bet. Okay. All right. We'll get you taken care of.
Yeah.
All right. No questions on that. Science. Circle one choice. If you're in regular physics right now, you would circle regular chemistry. If you are in forensic physics right now, most likely you would circle forensic chemistry. You'd want to talk to your first semester forensic physics teacher too, though, just to double check if they still recommend that you go to forensic chemistry and get the initials right there from that teacher. Questions here?
What if you're in chemistry right now?
What if you're in chemistry right now? That's a great question. So if you've completed biology and physics and chemistry, you've completed all of your science requirements needed for graduation, right? But maybe your career path or career goals or college goals require you to take another science class, maybe like anatomy and physiology, right? So you might write that in right here instead. How do you know of the different science courses? If you look on your course index on the back too, we do have a number of AP science courses, if that is something that you want to go into, okay? If you're going into business, maybe you don't need a fourth science class, for instance, okay? Make sense? Okay, social studies, circle one choice. Most of you are in econ and civics, so you'd circle US history. If you have aspirations of going to AP US history or APUSH, you would just write that in, and then you would want to get teacher initials, teacher recommendations for APUSH, all right? Questions on part A? Okay. Part B, your electives. It says you will select 2 electives. List A and B sections of classes in separate boxes. For example, Art 1A and Art 1B each take up a box. Be sure to include health, PE, or world language if needed. So as juniors, next year, all juniors have strategies for success. This is a requirement for all juniors to take. This is a preparation course for the SATs that you'll take in the spring of your junior year that help you both with English and math. So you would circle this, okay? You would circle that. That's a requirement of all juniors. So after your 4 classes and the strategies for success, you have your elective choice. Let's say you're in Spanish 1 right now and you need to take Spanish 2. You would write that in here. You write Spanish 2A, because A means first semester, in one box. In this next box, you'd put Spanish 2B, the second semester of that class, okay? Let's say you needed to complete health and PE. You would write health and PE. Maybe some of you have to complete econ still. Maybe you need to make up a class and you're not going to do summer school or after school campus, then you would write that right in here too, okay? Or if you're open and you can take an elective, you might write Woods A, Woods B. If you're going to EdTech though, you turned in your form, all right, you would just put EdTech here and EdTech here. We would know. And hopefully by the time we do your scheduling and entering your classes into Power School, we would know that information at that time if you're for sure you're in the EdTech program that you asked for. Okay? But if you turned it in, you would just write EdTech right here. And then you would just have your courses here selected. Part C is alternates. Alternates are classes that you'll take if you do not get your elective choices. Because sometimes things happen, we can't offer that elective choice anymore. So we would go and look at your alternates that you requested and add those to your schedule. Okay? So list them in order of preference and list A and B sections in separate boxes. EdTech students will not select alternates. So just like I said, all right, you just write EdTech right here in 11 and 12. These boxes are for your alternates. Questions on either Part B or Part C? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kroll. If you are taking an advanced or want to take an advanced placement class, one moment, Tallulah. You and your parent would need to read over this agreement. You would sign and your parent would sign. Some of you have the option to complete a 7th hour, especially if you have band or choir and you can't take all the required classes that you need. You would put maybe, for instance, this is common if you have band or choir and you need to make up a class, you might have to put PE right here, or PE and health, or maybe just health right here. And you would have to sign off on that. And that's on the bottom of this. Okay? Mrs. Kroll, thank you. Not letting you get anything done. No. Okay. So, last but not least, remember you need a recommendation from English, math, or science teachers with some of those classes, remember. Recommendations are needed for AP and dual enrollment classes. Completely fill out your course selection sheet and have your recommendations prior to meeting with your counselor and your scheduled meeting time. So, you have to have these due when? Friday, turned into Mrs. Kroll, okay? Now I want you to take note at the bottom, if your parent or guardian has questions, at the bottom it says parents are welcome to drop in and make appointments to talk with LHS counselors February 9th. So that's this Thursday. Yep, Thursday. From 8 to 2, and then February 23rd. So there's opportunities for your parents or guardians to come in, because I'm sure they have questions as well. Okay? So the rest of the time is for you to start choosing some of your classes. And Mrs. Pecor is here. Are you here to kind of walk around and help? All right, okay. So Mrs. Pecor and I are here to help walk around and make sure that you're on the right track of getting this completed. Okay?